How the hell do you even confess to your crush or even flirt? The guy who's into my best friend just spammed her with I love you texts. Wouldn't recommend though. Yeah, doing the spam is a no-no. Also, don't pull out that I love you until after a bit of time as a couple. Verbally, and in person. Wrong, they must stare until the crush notices that they're asking to date them with their eyes. I'll give you a serious answer. Just talk. Ask open-ended questions. It allows them to talk and for you to find common interests. It'll take time at first, but if there is interest, you'll know by how easy it gets to just talk about anything. Ride it out for a bit. After that, then would be a good time to talk about how you feel. Could take a few hours, a couple days, maybe a week. Depending on how well you know them already. Flirting, keep it simple. Use your own humor and get an idea of theirs. Cheesy, simple goofs work a lot better than it seems, and don't act like who you're not, aka be yourself, always. Overall, be confident. I believe Nike has a slogan that might help you out. Shia LaBeouf stands by this slogan also. You don't, you internalize it until the feelings fade away while never saying a word to them. Oh, you mean deal with a crush in a healthy way, my bad. What's going on? It's annoying or not interesting. I'm in this photo and I don't like it. I think it shouldn't be on Facebook. It's spam. You don't confess. That just makes it weird for everybody. You talk to them, gauge their reactions, escalate. You know. The fun part, the idea of confessing is just creepy and weird. Like what? You're gonna confess and then they say yes and then they're your girl/boy from then on, after you took the path of least resistance? The idea of confessing is just the pain of wanting being over quickly. It will never happen that way, and you might not realize it yet, but you don't want it to happen that way. Take risks. Get rewards. Well, realize if you don't take that risk in the future you will be full of regret. You have a crush on them and they don't know. Better yet, what if they have a crush on you and are doing the same thing? Just be prepared for rejection and also realize they are not the last one on earth. Go for it. It wasn't me who confessed, but I still think this is funny and cute. Me and my current boyfriend shared 2 classes together last year. We were too nervous to talk to each other, but he found my Instagram and asked me out there. We're still dating and this was August 2019. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating and it gets everywhere. Works every time. My advice, don't do what I did. I had found out that my crush and my best friend, she knew I had a crush, were getting together. I tried to be happy for them, I really did. But, in the end, it was too much to pretend to be happy while around them. I decided I was just going to ghost everyone from that circle of friends. On the way out, though, I sent a message to my crush telling him how I felt, that I was cutting contact with him so there was no chance of me being a buzzkill around them or even worse try to sabotage the relationship. I never had any intention of trying to break them up, but heartbreak is a hell of a drug. Blocked him, blocked everyone else. Well, several months later, I had to go digging through my emails to find some info for school. And there it was, dozens of messages from him desperately trying to get in contact with me. We lived in different states. I had forgotten to block his email addresses, since we had been using AIM to keep in contact. Now you guys know how old I am. Seemed like a bad idea at the time, but I eventually responded and we reconnected. Turned out my friend was a total bitch, big surprise, and they broke things off within the first couple weeks after getting together. Been married for almost 12 years now, but damn, we could have saved each other a lot of heartache if I had just told him from the beginning. We had been crushing on each other for almost a year and neither of us had the balls/ovaries to do anything about it until we were both heartbroken and miserable. It's literally as tough as it seems. Some people are born shameless and can confess their life story to a stranger at the bus stop. But a lot of us, most of us, really struggle to tell people we truly feel. But if you can manage it, I promise it will be worth of the effort. Overcoming that feeling and having the effort pay off is one of the greatest things I've ever experienced in my life. And you totally can do it, regardless of what you might think. I'm so shy I can't even check my text messages some days. If I can do it, I promise you can too. Look her deep in the eyes and say, "Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe. I confessed to my crush at a party right after I had thrown up. He had come with me to the bathroom, while crying hysterically about how I had loved him for a couple of years. Oh, may I add, he was in a relationship at that time. We have been dating for almost a year now. So just go for it. But probably you can do without the throwing up and crying. Depends on how well you know them already. If you're strangers, then that's really hard and you need an in first. But if you're friendly, and you're able to find a moment alone with them, crush, I've always enjoyed spending time with you. I like you. I'd like to get to know you better. Then you can ask them on a date. First off, how well do you know them? You should want to get to know them as a person before you confess anything. Flirting is really just being yourself around a person that already likes you honestly. But also, make sure you're a good person yourself before you go involving it in someone else's. Be really nervous and rubbish, mainly because you're going to be like that anyway, so might as well make it part of the plan. Well, my current partner told me that he liked me and then I spent 2 weeks flirting with him and he didn't get the message, so I told him ask me out already. Do it like a normal conversation with a normal person. Do you normally flirt and admit you have a crush with everybody? Are you not supposed to do that? F. Some kinda useful advice, never rush. Take time. Because if you go and straight up confess, the other person wouldn't have known your feelings, so the answer would be a no. Hope it helps. Personal experience. Winky face. I've been struggling with this question forever. I can't even just start a conversation. Like I really can't. The moment I feel confident enough to try, and then I see them up close, but social anxiety shoots through the roof. So I just act as if I didn't see them, and I just keep moving. That's my life. Maybe one day I can fess up, but that day isn't today. I normally shit on their chest. Crushes are like bears. They are just as afraid of you as you are of them. There are no real pickup lines. Just talk, don't force it, and calm down. Step 1. Be friends with the person you like before flirting with them or telling them you like them. Step 2. Don't put pressure on yourself. Just act natural, and eventually after you've become friends, tell this person you like them. Step 3. If they like you too, great. If they don't like you that way, don't let it get you down and try again the next time. And if you liked their company, it's perfectly acceptable to stay friends with them. Smiley face. Ha ha ha, thanks for making me mentally relieve a repressed part of my childhood. When I was around 12 or 13, I was infatuated with one of the girls that regularly hung out in our group. My guy friends immediately took notice of this and began to tease me about it every time she was hanging out with us. A few months into this, and my friends started getting impatient at my inability to grow some balls and ask her out. So one day, while we were all hanging out at one friend's house, they had the greatest idea to shove me into a room with her, alone, while chanting "He has something to tell you" from the other side of the door. I was mortified, but in that moment, I decided to grow a pair and just straight up confess that I liked her for a while now and I wanted to take her out on a date. Do so only with the understanding that your heart may be ripped from your chest and eaten in front of you. You write "Do you like me?" on a piece of paper and put a yes or no with boxes and let them put a check mark. Worked for me several times. I had a great idea. This was back in 6th grade. I wrote on a note, "Nicole, I really like you. Go out with me." So I kept trying to drop the note in front of her locker so she'd pick it up and read it. But then a classmate threw it away. Then another stumped it. Then someone kicked it under Nicole's feet. She didn't notice and went home while I watched in horror. So it didn't go the greatest. I went with what was essentially this: my adrenaline was pumping, so I'm not sure exactly what I said, but hear the gist of it. "Hey can I tell you something? I like you as more than a friend and I was wondering if you felt the same?" And then a few other things that I can't exactly place now or ever for that matter. I've reached a point where I'm past playing games and trying to hint about how I feel. If I like the person, and I feel like they're sending back similar vibes, I just tell them. Usually it's just something like, "Hey, I really like you, would you want to do date idea," labeled as a date? Or maybe I'll just go for the throat and ask if they want to give things a go between us. Usually follow that with planning a date still. As for flirting, don't be afraid to joke around and poke light fun at them. If they tease back at you, go ahead and spar with them a little, but I'd say don't push it past 3 or 4 exchanges to keep the novelty from wearing out. Ask questions about them, but don't be afraid to talk about yourself. You can also make stuff up, but just be obvious about it. That's the difference between being fake and being charming. For example, if you've got your laptop out and she asks you what you're working on, tell her something stupid like hacking into the nearby bank's network. If she asks about a nasty bruise or scar, say something like ninjas or sharks. Flirting is just playing. I think it's funny that we find flirting to be so stressful when I think, if anything, it should be relaxing and fun. I literally just texted him in the middle of the night when I realized I liked him as more than a friend, because pandemic. We talked it out the next day and now we've been dating for 6 months. Then again, I think it was easier because we've been friends for like 4 years, so we are more comfortable with each other. I just realized that I hated the idea of him dating anyone else one night, and so I let him know that I loved him. I blame the Princess Bride's confession scene, from Buttercup, for making me do it because I was reading that, but I'm glad I did it. Find their address from a sketchy website and give them 12 microwaves, works 69/420 times for me for legal reasons. That was a joke, but I can advise you make sure you know them and have been good friends for a long enough times. I got to talking with my crush about our common interests and even dislikes, then the conversation comes naturally as you are getting into your passionate flow. Let them have time to talk and then adapt upon what they have said. When you feel the time is right to tell them, just be genuine and kind, don't try to be too slick. Just be straight up and tell them how you feel. Flirting is such a broad thing. A standard compliment could come off as flirting to someone. I find it more effective, as a woman, to be really clear about my feelings and what they mean. That kind of cutesy coyness and subtle hinting is exhausting, and while cute, it doesn't always get the point across. Confidence is key. The worst that can happen is rejection, and it really isn't that bad. We talked in person for the first time. Next day I sent a message. We talked a little and I told him I liked him. We are still together 3 years later. Don't lose sleep over it. It took a lot of courage. I asked her for some advice. We were talking from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. I started developing interest and I could tell she was. I asked her if she wanted to grab some food, pre-COVID. She agreed. We started seeing each other more and more. I asked her to marry me last week. 10 seconds of courage. That's all it takes. To my wife, I said, "So, I actually really love you and love dancing with you, and I think you're really pretty and I want to dance with you forever and kiss you." Notice the lack of taking a breath in that sentence. The nervousness. But she said she did, too. And if I never did it? Can't imagine my life. You don't need to confess, you need to pursue. Just talk to them and get to know them, like you would anyone else. Maybe start with a compliment, to suggest interest and start a conversation. Do it in person and on a side where no one can hear you both. Start off by telling them how they make you feel and tell them that you want to be with them, and end up by asking them on a date and make it clear that it's a date and not just some friendly gathering. Also, don't be needy if it's a girl, because girls don't like a needy guy for many reasons, like they think he only wants their body or he can't be good enough for himself, or sometimes warning hard to swallow Bill. Girls think all guys are negative and abusive and they don't want their beliefs validated. So if you seem that you're a nice guy, you will get rejected the hard way. Act like a normal human who has rights and limits. This always works. Step 1. Don't have a crush. Step 2. Don't worry about confession though. In all seriousness, I probably got no clue how. TBH, there is no right answer. Like, try be confident or you overdo it, or make joke of yourself. Try be yourself. Person might not like it, but one day you'll get it right somehow that nobody could explain. When I met my fiancé, we were just friends for a while, hanging out and stuff. We slowly realized we had a lot in common and we enjoyed each other's company a lot, then we kinda just eased into everything else. So I guess, my advice would be just relax and don't be an overly flirty person. Just be you, and if there's anything special there you'll realize soon enough. Smiley face.